Hey, in today's video, I just wanted to share some thoughts on a event I went to today. I went to a conference in just outside of downtown Minneapolis. It's a EOS conference. It was specifically around data, which is one of the six main focuses, core focuses of the EOS framework, EOS model. So they had a conference today. One of the EOS mastery books is called Data. They have two other books, one focused on people, one focused on processes. I read the process one, and I've read the data one. I have not read the people one, although that is on my list. But today, the conference I went to, um, two of the authors here at the bottom, Angela, I'm probably going to mispronounce her name, Calamus, and Mark Stanley, hosted this event and invited companies that run on EOS here in the Twin Cities to come and be a part of this all day workshop. And so I wanted to share my thoughts because I know that they're currently touring the country and giving this 1 day workshop in a variety of locations. So if anybody is thinking about going and happen to be bumming around YouTube, I wanted to offer some perspective on the event and how it went and what I thought. So just wanted to give some of my feedback. So, just a little background context. The organization I work for, the Marine Retailers Association of the Americas, it's been running on EOS since 2019. Self implemented it before I was there. It was a long time before I've been there. They self implemented. I have EOS experience dating back to 2018 with a former employer that I was part of. So when I came over to the MRA, it was a natural transition into EOS. First experience of a self implementation of it. So it's been kind of fun learning how to kind of build and maintain this traction framework, operating system through self implementation. The previous employer I was at had implementators, EOS certified implementators. So it's just kind of a new experience. So a few weeks ago, I got an email from um, I think it came from 90.io, which is a software tool, a web tool that helps companies manage their traction operating system. They had a discount code to attend this event, and so I attended today with the president of the organization, who's my principal as chief of staff, and so we attended this today with the sole purpose of getting our scorecard fixed. Um, we've had some iterations of the company scorecard and to some degree department scorecards, and just really haven't found the right mix, the right setup, the right numbers to be tracking. And that's not uncommon. I've heard of other companies. I've read plenty of articles. I've talked to plenty of people. Scorecard is always a tricky one. So we had already read the book Data. Read it a few months ago when it first came out. And so we decided to sign up and go and kind of learn more about how to build a great scorecard for our organization. So it was held at hotel conference right outside downtown Minneapolis, kind of on the north side of Minneapolis. Venue was great, nothing too fancy or anything. There were about 20 attendees there, mix of small businesses, right in that traction sweet spot, 2 to 50 million in revenue, all different kinds of companies, a lot of construction companies, real estate, like not real estate, like property management. So I'm assuming probably condos, apartments, that kind of stuff. Um, a IT consulting company was there, and then there were several Minnesota-based implementators that were there as well. So there's about 20 people there, kind of a small conference room area. Perfect setup was fine, was great. And when we got there, they had a copy of the book for us. Already had a copy of the book. That's right, because I got another version or another copy that I can give to a new employee who's starting pretty soon. And then there was a workbook as well. Um, so I'll start off by saying I loved the format of the event. I love that it was a hands-on workshop. We didn't just sit there and listen. This wasn't, just sit and listen. This was, absorb and do. There was plenty of time to work on the exercise in the book. And I mean, I'm talking like, you know, this is a legit book. I mean, there was legit tools in here, worksheets to fill out. Here's another good one, just kind of give you an idea. Um, this thing was jam packed with lots of exercises to run through, lots of visuals. Um, I'm just showing you a couple of real quick pages here, but lots to do in here. And there was a lot of time set up to work on those things, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, workbook was also there. So the way the day kind of broke down, the morning when you got there is kind of a little meet and greet with other people there, and they had a little kind of light, uh, you know, pastries and orange juice and stuff like that, and kicked off with this Angela Calmus, Calmus, probably mispronouncing her name. She started off by basically kind of lining up how the day was going to go for us, and the morning was going to be dedicated to uh, scorecards, company scorecards, department scorecards, everyone having a number, sometimes difficult concepts for a lot of companies that are running EOS. And that was the whole reason why we went. That was really that was the premise of why we were there. So it made a lot of sense. And so she kicked it off and just jumped right in. And I wanted to prepare more for this video, but then I just decided I just want to get this out while it's still fresh in my head. So if I go through a couple of the key points here, I'm just going through my workbook, which I was actively filling out quite a bit. I think that the key takeaways definitely were um, I think I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of overthinking the scorecard. And I think one of the main takeaways I took was, let's keep it simple, keep it concise. You don't need 55 different metrics. You need five, maybe. You need the ones that are most important to your business. And so that was, obviously something I've read. I've read in all the EOS materials, but again, something that when you're sitting down there and you're looking at a spreadsheet and you're going to build a scorecard, you often overthink it. So it's just, kind of great to hear that. Um, Leading versus lagging metrics. Now, I've been a huge fan of leading metrics in my marketing and sales, head of sales and marketing. I often think about leading metrics. How many calls are we making? How many presentations are being booked or done? How many new deals are being entered into the CRM? I always think about that stuff. But at the leadership team level, I kind of had a mental block in my head of the leadership team should be looking at lagging metrics. And if those lagging metrics are, red, then you take those down to the department level that kind of owns that metric, and then you start digging in. But Angel is really kind of really pushing us towards think about human based activities. So essentially, leading metrics. And so she was really pushing that. And I pushed back a little bit. I didn't push back. I just kind of asked some questions about, I guess I don't want my leadership team to be too in the weeds with data, with specific leading metrics. But the point she was making was very straightforward, and I really really appreciated it. So, um, my principal and I really started kind of transitioning our scorecard that we were kind of making on the fly to add in more leading metrics. So that was a good exercise for us to go through for sure. This book, you can see here, started filling out. Uh, not going to show too much, but we started kind of had these worksheets, and there were some great resources in this book. Like for example, a whole bunch of different kind of like thought starters on like sources and types of measurables that you could have. They gave some examples for sales and marketing and operations and finance. So we spent the morning really going through all these exercises, building these scorecards. I apologize, there's background noise, but we don't get too many nice nights in Minnesota, so I wanted to film this outside. Um, building the scorecard was pretty much the morning, and it was a good exercise. Oh, the other thing I wanted to touch on was the concept of everybody having a number. Again, I get pushback sometimes from staff members that I've worked with, in different organizations that, hey, my role doesn't have a number. And page 98 in the book, I think it's 98. Let me just double check that. Kind of gives a little bit of a punch in the gut in regards to, everybody having a number. It says here, for one, this objection applies that there are people on your team who are not contributing anything tangible and substantial to your business's goals. If you think that is really true, it's time to step back and ask a question. If someone in your business doesn't have a number, why are they in your business at all? So I just kind of that quote that I read when I read this book and I had highlighted it really spoke to me about the importance of everybody having a number. And we talked about that this morning at the event. And Angela did a great job framing that up in terms of the importance of it. So the morning session was great. It was awesome going through the exercises in the book. Angela did a great job walking through. She was spent a lot of time at all the tables. She spent a lot of time at our table helping us out, me and my principal. Um, and I'm kind of talking in business terms. So he's the visionary. I'm the integrator in terms of like EOS terms, but he's the president and I'm the chief of staff. So same thing. Angela did a great job. Spent a lot of time with us. Talked about our business and really helped lay out a scorecard. So side note with this event and how small it was, being 20 people, that was one thing I really did like about it. Was like personal and it was really kind of a open forum to ask questions and kind of interact with Angela and Mark as they share their stuff. So, all right. So then we had lunch. Lunch was great, very good, and buffet style, and it was great. It was sponsored by one of the companies that was there, and you know, no complaints there at all. Then the afternoon uh, was a pleasant surprise. I going in, I thought that this event was mostly going to be about the scorecard. And I did kind of, I guess, question a little bit like, we're going to spend, 8 hours talking about scorecard. Like, is there enough content to fill that one time? And I did read the email that came out beforehand about the agenda. So I did see that we were going to talk about cash, but I guess I did not realize exactly the depth we were going to go in as it relates to cash. Now, there is a chapter in the book that talks about cash. So I was aware that this is part of the fundamental framework of this one of the six components here of EOS, cash, which is built into kind of the data side. Now, I like other frameworks like scaling up where cash is treated separately, metronomics, cash is treated separately, pinnacle, cash is treated separately. EOS is kind of built into the data side. So then Mark Stanley kicked off the afternoon and started going into the cash side of your business. And he started off by talking about basically creating a very simple 5 number income statement. So income statements can be really long and be very detailed. And he really made the argument of, simplify it down to 5 things. And he talked about revenue at the top. Then it's your, cost of goods sold or your direct variable costs, which then equals your gross profit. Then you take out your operating expenses, and then you're left with your net income. He was saying if you can just bring everything together and put it under those 5 numbers, you're good. Like start very, very simple. And he kind of walked us through that exercise, which was great. But then the meat, I think, was when we went into this cash flow playbook, and Mark spent a lot of time going through this playbook, and it was all stuff you learn in business school. It's all stuff you learn through business. If you've been around the block and maybe you've had responsibilities over a P&L, there was nothing that was like, oh my God, I've never heard that before. But hearing it put in a different context, hearing it, re-emphasized again is kind of what I think opened a lot of eyeballs for me. So we talked about things like I love the concept of 1%, incremental growth in anything. We talked about if you move the needle just 1% on anything, your gross margin, you know, um, you know, you, your conversion rate, anything, just 1% can move your numbers a tremendous amount. So that was really interesting. We talked about covering your net, which is basically knowing what's your break even point. We talked about how to kind of get through that. Then we walked through this cash flow drivers exercise. And it was very fascinating to go through. And Mark did a great job, kind of walking through what that exercise was. We talked about um, finding your drivers, what drives your cash for your business. We talked about focusing on existing customers because that's where the gold is. We talked about when to do price increases and if a price increase is, worth the risk of losing customers. We talked about discounting your price and how that's not always a good move. Um, we talked about the 8 ways. So he talked a little bit about some of his Lean Six Sigma experience. I also have some Six Sigma experience. I'm not black belt by certainly any stretch of the imagination, but I'm familiar, probably up to the yellow belt level. Actually, certified in yellow belt Six Sigma, so I understood the 8 ways he was talking about. That was interesting. We talked about inventory. Didn't really relate to our association exactly, but our members carry inventory. So it was interesting to hear about that. We talked about hours and tracking hours. We talked about eliminating operating waste, subscription fees that are happening in your business that you kind of forget about, things like that. That was interesting. And we talked about some CapEx stuff. We talked about, or not CapEx, operating expense. We talked about AR and AP and how to make sure that you're getting the money that you're due, and the importance of that. And then we kind of ended by building an action plan. The last page of this is basically just worksheet saying, hey, when you go back to the office tomorrow, what are you going to do? What's your action plan? So kind of put some of that together as well. This I'm going to hold on to this workbook for a long time because there was a lot of really great stuff in here, and definitely some of the exercises I want to replicate for our leadership team as I go back and try to teach some of these lessons inside of the organization. So I guess I'll just end by saying if your company runs EOS and you have the opportunity to attend one of these seminars, and it's pricey, it's $1,000. It's $1,000 for the day to go, so it was not cheap. It was a considered purchase for sure, but I will say it was worth every dollar of that. The morning session alone probably would have been worth $1,000 to be honest. In terms of reemphasizing the EOS operating system as it relates to scorecards and data, but the afternoon session was a pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed Angela and Mark. I think they were great speakers. They did a great job talking through the concepts, working us through the exercises. It was well worth $1,000 for sure for to be in attendance there. Super grateful. We went when we left. I told my principal, I said this was worth the investment. And I'm a penny pincher when it comes to going to like business events. If I don't think I'm going to get value out, I'm not spending that money. I'm a little I pinch tight on the purse strings inside the business, but this was worth it. This is something we definitely needed to hear and will help us a lot. Like I said, the book is great. Read the book if you're running EOS. Angela's presentation was amazing. Mark's was amazing. They both did a really great job, and I really sincerely mean that. And if you get a chance, if they're coming to your market, I would highly recommend going. I'm even willing to go out on a limb here and say that if you're within short travel distance, um, it might be worth a plane ticket. To be honest with you, if you're not, if this was in Chicago, uh, and if there was enough social proof to say that this event was worth it, I almost would take the 45-minute flight from Minneapolis to Chicago to attend this one day event. I really would. So I think if you're within a couple hour driving distance, or if you're a really short plane ride, you get a really good deal. This might be worth going to, because data is such a it data is the thing that binds a lot of the EOS um, components together, and it's just critical. And really enjoyed it. And then they ended the day. They gave out challenge coin to everybody there, signifying us as data-driven leaders. So that was a nice little touch at the end. And so yeah, I highly recommend it. If you get a chance to go, if they're coming to your market, I know they're touring a bunch of places. I can't remember exactly where, but if you're in one of those, I highly recommend it. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them. Just drop them in the comments. But again, the Unstoppable Data Driven Leader Workshop, so it's called, I recommend hands down to definitely leadership teams for sure, your integrator, um, and visionary. If you could only send one, I'd send the integrator. If you could send your whole leadership team, do it. It's a considered investment, but I think it's worth it. So, yeah, hey, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it. If you have any questions for me, happy to answer them. Just drop them in the comments. And thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one.